I recently did a video from the other fruit stand slash antique mall in the world, which is in Seattle, Washington. This one is in Thorp, and someone said you should video. And I've been here once before, but it's so cool I decided to come back and do a little short subject. We're going upstairs now past that really cool hanging farm wagon and zeroing in first on Red Wing Tampico. This mall has a lot of cool stuff, and they do get 50s stuff because Eastern Washington really expanded in the 50s, and Tampico is a great old pattern. A bunch of really cool geodes and minerals. These are popular in antique stores now. And look at the great 1950s cart with the Formica and the iron handle, so you can take it around. A lot of people are using these as portable bars now. With so much concern about lead in old ceramics, it's great to see this turn-of-the-century Royal Dalton water filter that says leadless glaze. That was way ahead. This is a neat piece. I just sold one of these for $950. The Clydesdale's going around. They are very popular with bar collectors. And this one is priced a little bit higher, but it should probably sell too because you just are not seeing a lot of these anymore. Fun cocktail shaker here. This one has the Scenes of Paris, but it's missing the stopper, unfortunately. This is open year-round, although it gets chilly upstairs in the winter, so bring your coat. It's a big drafty old building. Look at that beautiful ruby epergne with the carnival glass. That is just a gorgeous color. Fired on colors were big in the 50s and 60s. Blendo is all fired on the outside of the glass. And then there's this piece, and it has a different colored top, and you notice again clear on the bottom. This is a gem coat. I looked for the older Mexican throws made of cotton before they started doing the day glow colors, and they are collectible now, as you see by that price. This place has definitely changed with the times. You see vintage clothing and a whole corner full of Western wear. The old time clock from the late 60s, these are popular to collect again. I like the sky blue Majolica plates with the water lilies from about 1910, same time as the World's Fair in Seattle. And this is from Spokane. Durkin's jugs are very popular with Spokane collectors, and you can tell by the price. Durkin's was a big distributor in Spokane in the early boom years of that city. I just have time to give you a taste of this place, but there's old whiskey bottles, the Pioneer plates sold in Seattle around 1890, showing the early Pioneer brides, a neat German radio, and definitely tins. This neat old Park Davis tin from about 1900 is for a root. A lot of home remedies were still being sold as medicine in this period of time, and a lot of them have come back into favor with people who are looking for natural remedy. A nice case of pottery. That striped piece is an early Hull piece, and then there's this great Bauer oil jar. These would sit next to the entrances to fine houses back in the 1920s. It's priced at $5.95. But you'll find anything in here from antiques and vintage to a whole wall of Hot Wheels in blister pack. And it wouldn't be an antique mall if you didn't see the Penguin Hot Cold Keeper, but I'll tell you, those are still very popular. I get $25 a piece because people love that design. And they do get some really nice pieces too. These elegant nudes are early 1930s candle holders by the Frank Art Company from New York, very esteemed for its metalwork. From the same era is this cool green Bakelite cigarette holder. You would lift up the top, and out would come your cigarettes that you would have to put in there in little individual pieces, and this one is priced at $90. With the resurgence in vinyl records has come a resurgence of interest in old stereo components. One errant flamingo from the 50s that didn't fly to Florida yet, but maybe it'll fly there with me. This one has got the right coloration to not be a 1980s reproduction, and that matters. I'd like to have a pair, but I'll take one. And there's Dr. Pepper. Love those signs. A nice Fenton jade green vase. I just was helping with an estate sale where there's a bunch of that. I'll show you a good collection pretty soon in a video on the main channel. There's a whole section of Life magazines in here and other paper ephemera as well, and Mad, my personal favorite from childhood, and they are collectible now, as well as Collier's, the Saturday Evening Post, great graphics, fun humor, popular mechanics for ideas for the home crafter and builder. There's all sorts of good stuff in these old magazines. You won't have to walk a mile for the camels if you buy this really cool camel display rack. It's not for sale though, so I guess you can't. Darn. I would have liked it. I can see why they want to use it in display though. There's an old pendant for the Tacoma Tides, a soccer team that existed very briefly in the ASL back in the 70s, along with Pepsi calendars and old clocks and all sorts of fun things to put on the wall in a man cave. 10-pin bowling, that could be fun to play with your grandkids if they're little. And a couple of 1930s and 40s standing ashtrays from back when everyone did. The Singer Featherweight, absolutely the most popular of the portable sewing machines. Quilters love them. They're really stalwart. They tend to still work really well. And they tend to sell for a few $100s and sometimes even more depending on color. I like this Weller piece with the flower arranger along with the McCoy tulips. That's a pretty piece. And this great shaped pot from about 1950 is Weilware from Los Angeles. Max Weil started his firm in 1938 and mainly did women figurines and then dinnerware later on. A very nice selection of all the types of things you expect to see in antique malls, including this very pretty cranberry vase, which is a pilgrim glass piece from the 1980s. And whether your tastes go to traditional crystal like the Waterford piece or these really fun anthropomorphic decanters, well, they've got you covered there too. I recently sold this Al radio for more than the $85 they're asking. We see furniture from the original era of people moving here, but on top we also see this really cool double bird lamp. I just sold that recently myself as well. A nice Bakelite caddy with those cool late 30s shot glasses in the chrome holder. And this, there's even more upstairs, a lot more in fact. And then you can look down into where the fruit and the produce is. This is a really fun place and I'm glad to take you here. This is an old coin separator, and this was one that would have been used in a bank, and then you could put it into rolls. These are pretty handy things if you do estate sales or go into places where there's big old hoards of coins, and they do sell pretty well, and that's actually a reasonable price for an old one. This cool threaded vase has a great look that looks 60s. I always like the applied threading, and when we look at the bottom though, that has a big satiny looking ground mark, and that makes me very suspicious. It is definitely not a Blanco piece with that grind. Behind these 1970s end table speakers is a really cool steamer trunk. Good color, the drawers are in good shape. I sold one to an actress who takes it on tour with her. Nice looking 1970s white bicycle, but I really like the tandem bike. My aunt and uncle used to ride around on one of those with their 4 kids behind them. And then of course we have the great riding horse. And a bargain price on a 1930s buffet. You could certainly polish that out. And a great little vanity also at a bargain price. These really just need a little elbow grease. This looks like a lot of the old time houses in eastern Washington. The old settee with the western stuff and barrels in the house and jeans hanging up. This is how people live out on the farm. But the 70s came here too, and so you have this great cabinet with a cool looking piece of Alaska line. Is this the Matthew Adams? Yes, this is the person who designed this for Sasha Brostoff and then took over the line with Sasha's blessing. And that's the other mark you see on the bottom. They have 45 on this piece. We get a lot of Alaskans down in the winter. They won't mind that it's chilly upstairs here in that time of year. Cute set of 1970s mugs from Harmony House. That means it was made for Sears by another company. That was their in-house brand. And there's your pattern name. And I have to run, but I think I'm going to take this Ceramic Arts pair of wall dancers with me.